The topic is the U.S. colored troops and the Battle of Nashville, and we're talking to Leo Kwame Lillard. And of course, Professor Lillard has been giving us quite a bit of information in reference to his background. But let us continue this and have you to give us some information about the participation of African Americans in the war that we will eventually dealing with the battle.
I'd be glad to, Dr. Haney. I think as a child growing up in Nashville, I lived in South Nashville, and we had to walk to Cameron Junior High School, which is another part of South Nashville. And we walked right past this huge old haunted-looking hill every day for 3 years. Had no idea that it was called Fort Negley. All we know was a place that our parents said, "Don't you go up there, boy. It's haunted. It's an Indian fort." Unbeknownst to all of us, and probably my parents too, that fort was, and still is, the largest stone fort ever built in the Civil War. Now, there's a long way from junior high school to now. And it took many years, even back in Nashville, before we realized the significance of that Fort Negley. Because it was a fort that reminded the Nashville gentry of defeat in the Civil War. But that fort was a sense of pride for black folks because we built it. We built it with our own hands. In fact, they forced black men who were bricklayers and stonemasons to build that fort. Nashville itself was a key city during the Civil War because it had all these railroads, and there was a border state. It was the last state to succeed during the Civil War. But it also allowed this city to become the launching area to supply the entire war effort that Lincoln needed to have to defeat the Confederate armies operating in Alabama and Georgia and Mississippi. So Nashville was occupied. It was only one of two cities occupied, Nashville and New Orleans. Only two cities occupied during the entire war, and became staging areas to defeat the Confederate Army. So this was a critical city for the Civil War. But more importantly, it also became a place to recruit black soldiers because all the slaves that wanted to join the Union Army had to come out of those southern states to get to Nashville to be recruited. And Tennessee had the second largest number of black recruits behind Virginia in the entire war, and also had the largest number of battles other than Virginia. So we played a major role. So it's odd that you grow up in a city, in a state, with that significant role, and as an educated person, you're black, you leave with a degree in whatever it is, and you don't know the role that Nashville played. So you wonder, how long could this lie be kept away from the people? Our job then became to expose the lies, to fill in the blanks in history, and say, we played a major role in making our country what it is. We didn't just do what's in the movie Gone with the Wind. And it's odd, Dr. Haney, that the stamp this year is Hattie McDaniel, the black stamp, and she played Mammy in Gone with the Wind. All right? And it's odd that you would have that stamp come out the exact year we put a statue up that totally contradicts the stamp. I mean, the men who that statue is made for wasn't singing old Massa and singing, you know, we shall overcome. They were fighting for the rights of their freedom and the rights of a nation. And it's amazing it's taken that long to do that. So we're kind of proud of the fact that we can fill in those blanks and say we have a right to claim that this country belongs to us because we defended it with our blood. In the cemetery on Gallatin Road, Dr. Haney, there are 1,900 black men buried there from the Civil War who fought in the Battle of the Tennessee, and particularly the horrendous Battle of Nashville.
Well, could you repeat that number there? Because I mean that's
about 1,940 black men
that are buried there already in the
buried in a section called United States Colored Troops. It is in the back of the cemetery next to Kmart on Gallatin Road. When you go under the train track, you turn left, and there you will find up on a hill 1,900 graves with the inscription USCT on the headstone. That signifies that they were Union soldiers of African descent. And they bled and fought bravely and defeated the Confederate Army. In fact, they defeated the last real army in the entire war that was effective. That caused the surrender of Lee and to Grant, which ended the Civil War in favor of the Union Army. That's the importance of Nashville, that's the importance of Tennessee, and particularly that's the importance of the black men who wore the blue uniform. And they were, of course, probably ill-trained, the worst equipment, sacrificed on suicide missions, but they still went. And our children don't know that. and to see the folks who run around with Confederate flags say this wasn't a war about slavery. If it wasn't a war about slavery, what was it about? What was it about? And we're just so proud that the Civil War stories that are coming out now, trying to fill in that gap and not make Gone with the Wind the only interpretation of that era in our country. And most of us as children, including myself and you too, until you were 20, 30 years old, you assumed that Gone with the Wind was correct. Come out of Hollywood, right? It was a wonderful movie. It was a classic, all right?
And it had a black actress in it, which was an extraordinary accomplishment at the time itself.
That's right. Who would ask questions? You know, why wouldn't you be proud of her? At least she got paid. You know, at least she was in a movie. But there were huge pieces of gaps, information until the movie Glory. I think most Americans didn't even know that black men fought.
You know, you mentioned sponsors and individuals who have played a significant role. We've got about 2 minutes. Why don't you say something about those individuals who played a crucial role in helping you to resurrect this whole idea and build this great statue that you put in the
Well, I think without the Tennessee Historical Commission, the Historical Commission that is a publicly funded operation, tax supported, Mr. Norman Hill, who was the first black elected chairman of the Tennessee Historical Commission, gave us the final money we needed to pay the foundry to cast the statue. But there are lots of people on this board here. You can see Mr. Barry Stokes from One Point Solutions. He gave $5,000. Okay, there Mr. Stephen Turner, charitable foundation, $5,000. Al Berry, the former black chairman of the NES, very important person. Bell South, Dr. T.B. Boyd, $2,500. So these people here, Dana Foundation, Vernon Winfrey, Mr. Winfrey gave $1,000. We called him up and said, Vernon, we need to help us put this statue up there. He said, no problem, here's $1,000. So people, then we have lots of small donations. Some people gave as much as $2. Students at TSU gave $1. But it took all those students and all the people to put that $48,000 little nest egg together to get the statue.
And so the statue cost $48,000. That was the total price.
That's right. But that's just the beginning. We have promises to our major benefactors and major donors. We've got to honor those commitments by giving them some piece of artwork to say thanks for what you did. We committed to that. We have to maintain the statue.
Very
and
good.
most importantly, we've got to advertise it.
Very good. And of course, what we'll do when we come back during this final segment, we'll talk about the Battle of Nashville and give you an opportunity to say some additional words in reference to some of the support that you need. Okay. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this short commercial break. We're talking to